It's rare you ever see the PM this pissed off.
I was appalled, it's disgraceful, and it's not on.
But when you've just found out AusPost CEO used taxpayer money to give well-paid senior execs almost 20 grand's worth of designer watches, sure, I get it.
She's been instructed to stand aside, and if she doesn't wish to do that, Mr. Speaker, she can go.
But Scott Morrison was rather less enraged when just a fortnight ago we learned his government spent 10 times the market rate on land being prepped for a new Sydney airport, allegedly earning some Liberal Party donors a tidy sum.
Now that that's come to light and it's been brought to our attention, we'll be ensuring it doesn't happen again.
And that's just the beginning.
The chair of our corporate watchdog, ASIC, has stepped aside.
Controversial 2017 water buyback.
Government grant of almost $500 million without a tender process.
The Chinese billionaire, $250,000 worth of Rolex watches.
But let's not forget the $100 million funneled into seats the Libs were desperate to win last election, but which they say was totally legit.
Oh no, you're not talking about...
Yep, sports rorts.
Every single one of the projects that was approved was eligible. Every single rule was followed.
All this could be properly investigated by a federal anti-corruption watchdog, like the one in New South Wales.
Had a close personal relationship.
But at a national level, the government's sitting on its hands.
The government has had an exposure draft of legislation to create a National Integrity Commission since last December 2019.
The PM says now's not the time.
I was not going to have one public servant diverted from the task of focusing on our
Members on my left.
approach to dealing with this pandemic.
Every day, Australians have been coping. But this is a government who apparently the pandemic has infected to the point that they cannot act on a National Integrity Commission. It's embarrassing.
So why can't the coalition walk, chew gum and set up a federal ICAC at the same time?
Well, Helen Haines is the independent federal MP for Indi, and tomorrow she's tabling her own private members' bill for a National Anti-Corruption Commission, and she joins us now. Helen, the government already has draft legislation it just needs to act upon, so why do we need your bill?
Oh, g'day, Lisa. Hello, everyone. Look, we need my bill because the government has had their bill for some time now. We learnt that last week in estimates. They've had it for over 10 months, but have not brought it to the Parliament. And I'm tired of waiting. The whole nation's tired of waiting. I have a really good bill, and I'm tabling it tomorrow, and I'm asking the Parliament to debate that bill.
Do you think you've got enough support at this stage to get it through?
Look, Lisa, I've been working with members of Parliament right across the floor, members of the government, members of the opposition and, of course, my crossbench colleagues. I'm putting this forward as a consensus bill, and I'm really optimistic that there's enough members of Parliament who want to get on and get a Federal Integrity Commission stood up in this country, and if we vote on this bill and pass it, we could have it functioning by the middle of next year.
Helen, the government doesn't want any version of a national corruption watchdog to be retrospective, but you do. Why is that?
Oh, look, every integrity commission around the nation, every state has retrospectivity in their commission. To not have that at a federal level, I think, would be insulting to the people of Australia. They wouldn't buy it. We need to be able to understand the systemic nature of corruption. The only way we can do that is to have retrospectivity. The important thing to say here, though, is that no new laws apply to old activities. So the idea of retrospectivity is essentially to follow the thread and to really understand systematically where corruption is and to learn from it.
New South Wales ICAC has ended a number of political careers, not always fairly, some people would say. Is there a risk at the federal level that a corruption watchdog could be weaponised?
Yeah, look, this is a really important point. And as I said, I've spoken to lots of MPs across the aisles on this. This is their biggest fear, and it's a legitimate fear. So I've built safeguards into my bill to make sure that innocent people aren't dragged through the mud and left with that mud sticking forevermore. So at every point in a commission hearing, under the safeguards I have in my bill, there's a rolling right to request a private hearing and to go to the commissioner and put down your case why it should be a private hearing. Good example being, a young staffer whose whole career could be ruined by association. And a commissioner may say, well, look, that should be a private hearing, that component. The other really important bit, and this is an idea I got from speaking to another MP, a member on the government side, who said we need to find a way to make sure that people who are exonerated, that the whole world knows that they're exonerated. So if this bill is legislated, the Commissioner will be compelled to write a supplementary report that's tabled in Parliament that completely exonerates an innocent person.
Well, Helen, good luck with it all tomorrow, and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks very much.
So, PVO, what is the difference between Senate estimates that I love, where you see politicians really being held to account, and what a federal ICAC would be capable of doing?
Oh, well, ICAC can make adverse findings. Senate estimates tends to be the other side of politics in opposition, asking the tough questions and grilling bureaucrats as well as members of parliament. So it's great theatre. It actually unearths a lot with their investigative powers, but ultimately they don't have anything to be able to make an adverse finding. That's left to a corruption watchdog. I don't see Helen's bill getting up because independent bills usually don't, but I think it will put the pressure on the government to finally get on with it and bring its bill forward, and also potentially to make it less toothless, because that's been one of the real concerns here, that it won't do enough digging, which is what you want an ICAC to be able to do.
Or more toothful.
More toothful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Susie.
A toothy,
No worries.
What a toothy bill.
All right, we'll be back after the break. Don't go anywhere.